it's hard to start from ground zero and try to move forward. You can do it. But what I want to recommend to people, and I do this every day of my life, so I'm not recommending something that I don't do myself. Yeah. Every day, do one thing that scares you, that makes you nervous, that makes you uncomfortable, that's potentially embarrassing.
Welcome to Sheila's Take, your go-to podcast for thoughtful insights on love, faith, health, fitness, relationships, and navigating today's challenges through a spiritual perspective. Join me, Sheila Dunbar, as we explore various aspects of life with a mindful and godly approach. Tune in for engaging discussions on all things meaningful and transformative. Welcome back to Sheila's Take. I'm your host, Sheila Dunbar, and today I have the distinguished guest, Terry Tucker. Terry is the founder of the Motivational Check LLC, where he offers a unique and positive perspective on self-improvement. With a background as a former NCAA Division I basketball player and a SWAT team hostage negotiator, Terry has also been a resilient cancer warrior for the past 12 years. He overcame significant challenges that included the amputation of his foot in 2018 and his leg in 2020. Through his personal journey, Terry focuses on guiding others towards an uncommon and extraordinary life by emphasizing principles such as controlling the mind, embracing difficulties to build strength, and leaving a positive impact on others, never giving up in the face of adversity. So welcome, Terry. Welcome to Sheila's Take. How are you?
I am great, Sheila. Thank you very much for having me on. I'm really looking forward to talking with you today.
Good. My first question is, how have your experiences as an NCAA Division I basketball player and a SWAT team hostage negotiator equipped you with the mindset and tools to navigate the challenges you faced?
That's a great question. And I think my entire life, whether I started out, basketball was really kind of something ate, drank, and slept.
Yeah.
It really felt it was my purpose at that point in time. And then as I got out of college, I got into adulthood. I wanted to follow in my grandfather's footsteps. My grandfather was a Chicago police officer, but he was shot in the line of duty. And so when I expressed an interest in going down that road, my dad, who was in when his father was shot, it was not a serious injury, he was shot in the ankle, but my dad remembered the stories my grandmother told of that knock on the door. Mrs. Tucker, grab your son, come with us. Your husband's been shot. So when I expressed an interest in following in my grandfather's footsteps, my dad was absolutely not. You're going to college. You're going to major in business. You're going to get out, get a great job, get married, have 2.4 kids, and live out the way around there. But that's the life my father wanted me to lead. That's not the life I felt my purpose was, that I was born to. So I had a very big decision to make when I graduated from college. My father was dying of cancer. Oh, I could have said, sorry, Dad, I know you're dying, but I'm going to go blaze my own trail and do my own thing.
Yeah.
Or out of love and respect for you, I will do what you want me to do. And so my first two jobs were in business because it's what my father wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I sort of joke. I did what every good son did. I waited till my father passed away and sort of followed my own dreams.
Mm-hmm.
I think my whole life was really, I learned so many lessons from playing basketball and having knee surgery and having cancer and being a negotiator and trying to help people. But the bottom line, and I know I really am going to answer your question.
Please, take your time. Please, go ahead.
I've always felt life was about service, about what we give back. Both of my brothers are in education. I was in law enforcement. It was not about what we could get. It was about what we could give in our lives. And I think what basketball and SWAT taught me was the importance of giving back.
And that helped you with your battle with cancer, learning to do all of that, correct?
It did. And I have this rare form of melanoma, rare form of cancer. And as you mentioned, I've had some amputations. I'm in a wheelchair now and things like that. And one of the things I learned from watching my father die of cancer was that I needed to have a purpose. I needed to have something to
Right.
do during that. And, my dad, I had a lot of long talks with my dad as he was dying. And I sort of tucked that in the back of my mind when he died, like, well, when it's my turn, I need to have that purpose. I need to find that thing in my life. But I'm also limited in my mobility and I still have tumors in my lungs that I'm treated for. So where can those intersect? Where can those come together where I can still deal with my health, but at the same time be able to provide, serve, help other people? And I'll be honest with you, I had started a speaking business
Mm-hmm.
as COVID hit. And this is the honest truth. This is really the way it happened. And like so many other people and so many other companies, I had to figure out how to deliver my service better because nobody was doing anything in person or even virtually.
Right.
And somebody reached out to me and said, "Would you like to be a guest on my podcast?" And I said, "Sure. What's a podcast?" I had no idea what a podcast was. And he explained it to me. And I said, "Well, I'll try that." And Sheila, I was my first podcast, they posted notes all around the camera. And he would ask me a question, I would lean in and I'd read the post-it note. I was terrible. I provided no value to the audience whatsoever. But then I kind of stepped back and I was like, well, the first time I ever played basketball, was I any good at it? No. First time I ever drove a car, was I any good at it?
Right.
First time I ever cooked a meal, I think I burned the water. I mean, really, I wasn't good at things when I first started. And most of us aren't. But I thought that this was something that I could use to make a difference in people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so I practiced and I studied. And I remember telling my publisher, I said, "Scott, I'd listen to every podcast I've ever been on because I want to have better stories.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I don't say and all those kind of filler words." And he said, "No, it's not about being good. It's just about not being bad," which I know it's not what it's about for me. That's not what I want. I want to provide value to the audience. And now, probably 700 podcasts later, which you could be a guest on, this is something for me to do when I'm not in treatment for my cancer that I hope is making a difference in the lives of other people.
That's truly an amazing story, Terry. You have something where you do your four truths emphasize, right? Can you explain that a little bit?
Sure. So I developed these four truths. Sort of the backstory, and it's kind of a funny story, is that I was on a podcast called The Three Truths. Yeah, and it's true. And I needed to focus on what those truths were. I didn't want to be phony. I wanted to be sincere about that. So I took some time and it's like, what is foundational for me? What matters to me? And, a lot of times I talk about my three F's: faith, family, and friends. I have a very strong faith in God, and my family and friends have gotten me through a lot as well. But I wanted to see, what was something that I believed in that was in my heart, that was in my soul. And I came up with these four truths. And I had them here on a Post-it note in my office. And so I see them multiple times during the day, and they constantly get reinforced in my mind. And I'll give the four truths to you.
Hey.
One is each.
Uh-huh.
The first one is control your mind, or your mind is going to control you.
Yeah.
The second one is embrace the pain that we all experience in life and use that pain and difficulty to make you a stronger and more resilient individual. The third one, and this is one that I've added, is more of a legacy type of truth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this: what you leave behind is what you weave in the hearts of other people. And then the fourth one, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. As long as you don't quit, you can never be defeated. And I call these four truths sort of the bedrock of my soul. I just think they're a good place to try to start to build a quality life from.
Yeah, and especially repeat that third one again.
What you leave behind
Uh-huh.
is what you leave in the hearts of other people.
I like that. What you leave behind is what you weave in the hearts of other people. And what made you come up with that? Because of your journey or what you went through?
Well, I think it's, a lot of times we focus on the here and now, but I'm important to focus on what happens after we're gone.
Yeah.
What is our legacy? How do we want to be remembered? Most of us won't be remembered. 100 years from now, most of us, nobody will know that we were here. I'm still, as I mentioned, being treated for tumors that I have in my lungs. And one of the nurses that cares for me used to be a former hospice nurse. And for those of your audience who don't know about hospice, it's people who take care of others at the end of their life.
Right. Yeah.
And she recommended a book to me. And the book was called Imagine Heaven. And it's a book about people who have near death experiences. And one of the big takeaways I came away with from that book is this. No matter who the person who had the near death experience saw, whether it was Allah or Jesus or a saint or an angel or a friend or a relative, almost every single person was asked one particular question. How do you treat my children? How do you treat the people in your life? And it goes back for me to the Bible. Jesus was asked, what's the most important commandment? Love your God above all others. And the second is just like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. And I think that one sentence that most of those people got asked, how do you treat people? How do you treat my people? How do we treat each other? How do we connect? How do we make other people's lives better? And if those are the questions that people that are experiencing near death are having, they're not getting asked, did you cheat on your spouse or did you embezzle from your company or did you steal from your neighbor? No. How do we treat each other? How do we take care of each other? And so that connection with other people has been incredibly important to me. I think during COVID, we found out just how important it is to have that.
Yeah.
We're better together than we are separate.
Separate. You're correct. That's definitely correct. Um, Now you have a book, and it's in your book, Sustainable Excellence. You discuss 10 principles for leading an uncommon and extraordinary life. Can you highlight one principle that you find particularly powerful and share how it has shaped your approach to personal growth and resilience?
Absolutely. So the principles, each chapter is a principle. And one that resonates with me, and in all honesty, resonates with me because I've done it. In all honesty, I'm not proud that I've done it in my life. And the principle or the chapter is this. Most people think with their fears and their insecurities instead of using their minds. And Sheila, I know I've done it. I know I've done it when I wanted to start something or a business or something. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I'm not smart enough. Maybe I don't have enough information.
Yes. Yes.
Think about me in my freedom. That's thinking with our fears and our insecurities. That's not thinking with our minds. And whenever I have an opportunity to speak, especially to young people, I always tell them, if there's something in your heart, something in your soul that you believe you're supposed to do, but it scared you, go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of your life, the things you're going to regret are not going to be the things you did. They're going to be those things you didn't do.
Yeah.
And by then it's going to be too late to go back and do it.
That is that's so on point because with me starting this podcast, I was so afraid of so many things. And I had started writing a lot of my podcast stuff. I want to say between 2020 and 2021. I literally, my first season was just stuff that God had downloaded to me. And I wrote and I recorded them, Terry. And I was just so afraid to put it out there. And a good friend now, she said, just do it afraid. If you do it afraid. And that was the best advice that anyone has ever given me. And I have been nonstop since. So I definitely get that we're afraid. We do things because, oh, well, I'm not sure if this is going to work out, or I'm not sure if they're going to receive this, instead of just doing it. And that's the greatest, best advice you can give someone.
Absolutely. And you know, it's funny because I was on a podcast with a man who had been in the National Football League, you know, the NFL, played at the highest level of sports. I mean, this guy was like 6'6", like 310 pounds. He was a huge man. And after the podcast, we were talking, and he said the exact same thing that you just did. He said, you know, when I started this podcast, I didn't think anybody would pay attention to me. I didn't think anybody would listen to me. And I said to him, Marcus, my gosh, you made it to the pinnacle of your career. You're an amazing man as a human being. You're an amazing athlete. How could you think people wouldn't listen to you? But that's the fear that we all have, that sort of imposter syndrome that, you know, I'm not really as good as I think. We're all as good as we need to be. And we can make other people's lives better by the value that we give to them.
Yes, definitely, definitely. How do you recommend individuals cultivate a positive mindset when faced with like adversity or setbacks, drawing from your own experiences?
I like to think that that starts. I mean, it's hard if you know, if you get hit in the face with some major disaster, like, you know, a parent unexpectedly dies, or you unexpectedly get let go from your job, or you find out you have a chronic or a terminal illness. It's hard to start from ground zero and try to move forward. You can do it. But what I want to recommend to people, and I do this every day of my life, so I'm not recommending something that I don't do myself.
Yeah.
Is every day, do one thing that scares you, that makes you nervous, that makes you uncomfortable, that's potentially embarrassing. It doesn't have to be a big thing. But if you do those small things every day, when the big disasters in life hit us, and they hit all of us, like I said, we lose somebody who's close to us, we get let go from our job, we find out we have some type of a disease or illness, you will be so much more resilient to handle those things when they present themselves. So I always try to get people, like, do it now. Start working on that now so that when the big disaster hits us. Now, if you're faced with the big disaster, I think you have to rely on what's important in your life. Well, you know, for me, it's my faith, my family, and my friends. I mean, for other people, maybe they don't have, and maybe it's their family and friends. Understand that we don't do things in a vacuum. None of us is good by ourselves. The self-made millionaire is not self-made. There are other people along the route that got that person to the top of the mountain. So you need to lean on the people that you have in your life. And then I'll go back to you know, there's that old thing about we are the sum of the 5 people that we hang around with the most.
Yeah.
So hang around with people that love you, that care about you, that are willing to tell you the truth, even if it affects their relationship with you. Not or with people that it's all about drama and there's negativity and it's all about them. You hang around that negative person, you'll be a negative person. You hang around a positive person, you'll be a positive person. So surround yourself with people in your life that when tragedy happens, you can lean on those people and they'll be there for you.
I'm constantly saying and doing is like, you have to surround yourself with the right type of people. The people that are like-minded. That's, I like to use that term, that are like-minded. Because if you hang around people that are, like you said, negative and not positive, then that's gonna feed on to you. There's a scripture in the Bible that says if you hang around when you around with fools, I don't remember it. I gotta get it, because it literally says if you hang around with wise, you'll be wise. But if you hang around with fools, then you're gonna be a fool, pretty much. I'm paraphrasing it, but that's what it is. And you have to be around like-minded people if you want to be successful. You want to do things in life, and like you said, when tragedy hits, there's certain people that will be in your corner and be there for you. Or when they say, "I'm praying for you," that they're praying for you. That's the difference. So, yeah, you put some good gems here, Terry. You talking about some good gems.
I'm trying.
Now, Let's get back to like the I know we were talking about legacy, and I meant to ask this question earlier, but your focus is on leaving a positive impact on others. That's very inspiring, but how can individuals incorporate the concept of leaving meaningful legacy in their daily lives, even amidst personal struggles or difficulties?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll tell you a story. Most of us probably remember Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
That was my show. Yeah.
Me too. I mean, he educated so many young children, including me, and it sounds like you,
Definitely.
like television when we were young.
Uh-huh.
So after Fred Rogers died in 2003, and I can't believe it's been that long, his family was going through his effects, and they found his wallet. And inside his wallet was a scrap piece of paper on which Mr. Rogers had written four simple words: life is for service. Sheila, I've seen so many people in my life that feel that they are born empty. And when they get out of school and they get into life, whatever that looks like for them, that then their job is to fill their empty selves up. You got to get the best education, have the greatest job, make the most money, drive the nicest car, have the latest, gadgets and gizmos. And what I've found is it's just the opposite. We're not born empty. We're born full. We're born with everything we need to be successful, however you define that word, already inside of us. We just need to pull it out and use it for our benefit. So our job in life should not be to fill ourselves up. Our job in life should be to empty ourselves out with our unique gifts and talents, not only for the betterment of ourselves, but also for the betterment of our families, of our friends, of our communities, and of our countries. And I think when you make that shift to it's all about me, I got to get stuff. And the more stuff you get, the more stuff there is to get.
That's
Fill yourself. You're never going to have enough stuff. But if you give of yourself with your unique gifts and talents, it's amazing how much more your life turns around and how much better your life is.
Yeah. I truly believe that. I read a few times Rick Warren's A Purpose Driven Life. And
Right? Not.
oh, you gotta beat that because he gives he gives you a roadmap onto what our purpose in life is. And one of the things is to be of service. And it's a really, really good book. You read it one chapter a day. And it tells you the things pretty much God requires of you and to make you not feel empty, And again, a lot of the things that you're saying, we're not born empty. We are born full. We just have to give those gifts and share those gifts that we have with others. You got to open up so that you can bless someone and be blessed in return. So I recommend it, but that's what it is. Life is for service. We are here to serve. Now, you have been featured in various publications and podcasts. Can you share a key message or lesson that you tried to impart to audiences during these appearances and kind of what the feedback has been?
Sure. So I'll give you two things that I think are real important. One is a quote from a book called Farewell to Arms. It was written by Ernest Hemingway.
Right.
He says in the book, he said, life breaks everyone. And afterward, many are stronger at the broken places. And I really like that, because life will beat you to your knees from time to time.
Yeah.
I don't care how strong you are, how faithful you are, whatever. You're going to have some tough days. But just like a broken bone, when a broken bone heals, it's stronger at the area where it was broken. Your life can be the same way.
Right.
What you learn from the difficulties, the stress, the adversity that you've faced in your life, and how can you use that to make yourself, your body, your mind, your spirit, how can you make that stronger based on what you've learned? So I think that's one of the things. that I really tried to emphasize. I definitely also talk about the four truths. But one of the other things that I think is important, one of the nurses that cares for me during my infusion therapy asked me one time, what was it like to have your foot amputated in 2018 and your leg amputated in 2020? And I told her, I said, it certainly hasn't been easy. I am 6'8" tall. So learning how to walk again, falling is not an option. You fall from this height, you can get hurt. So falling is not an option. But what I told her was, cancer can take all my physical faculties. Cancer can't touch my mind, it can't touch my heart, and it can't touch my soul. And that's who I am. That's who you are, Sheila. That's who every one of us is. But we spend so much time, working on this body. We get enough rest. We go to the gym. We eat right. We reduce stress. And I'm not telling you not to do that. You absolutely should do that. But what I am suggesting is every day, spend a little more time working on who you really are, your heart, your mind, and your soul. We know this body's going to die. We know it's going to decay and go away. But your heart, your mind, and your soul, those things I believe are eternal. Those things live on. And I just don't think we spend nearly as much time working on them as we should.
Yeah, I think it's your authentic self.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's your authentic self. Let's face it, in the age we live in right now, you get on social media and everybody's not living high in the sky as they want you to believe. And I'm going to say you are so inspiring, so motivating with everything that you're dealing with. And you're still motivating people. How is that? How does that work for you? How do you keep that happy smile?
I think it comes from having that purpose, having something that I'm supposed to do here. I remember when I was initially diagnosed back in 2012, I was basically told I would be dead in 2 years. And I thought, well, you've given me a death sentence. Maybe I can turn that death sentence into a life sentence. And how do I go about doing that? How do I go about trying to make something out of this ugliness? How do I go about making it matter in my life? And part of that is just being on podcasts. Part of it is writing and doing the things that I can do. And, I spent a lot of my life being a physical person. I was a college basketball player. I was in law enforcement. I did a lot of physical things. And now I don't have a left leg and I'm in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So how do you balance those things? I mean, what I've come to understand is when you can't do what you're good at anymore, you do what's important in life.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, is what's important in life. Again, power, money, influence, none of those things are important at all. There's a great story about, I don't think it's a true story, but there's a great story about Alexander the Great, probably one of the greatest conquerors of all times. And the story goes that as Alexander was dying, he brought his advisors, his counselors together. And he said, I want you to carry out my final 3 wishes. My first wish is I want only my doctors, my physicians, to carry my casket to the grave. The second wish is I want the road to the cemetery paved with gold and silver and precious stones. And my third wish is I want my hands to be left outside of my casket. And one of his advisors stepped forward and said, you're Alexander the Great. You're the most powerful man in the world. These seem like, my words, not his, kind of goofy wishes. Don't you want something else that's more important? He said, why do you want these wishes? He said, well, number one, I want my doctors to carry my casket to the grave because I want people to understand that no doctor cures anybody. They just help the body to cure itself. People should pay attention to how they treat the body, what they put into it. Do they exercise? Are they eating right? Are they reducing stress? So there's nothing wrong with taking care of the body. We absolutely should do that. And then the second thing that he talked about was having the road to the cemetery paved with gold and silver and precious stones. And he said, I've spent my entire life accumulating wealth and power and influence. And none of that is coming with me to the grave. And then the last part is having his hands outside of his casket. He said, I want that because I want people to understand that I came into this world empty-handed and I leave it the same way. Story, just because it really emphasized, you know, how we spend so much time trying to be somebody in the world, and really being somebody in the world is helping another human being, giving them a hand up, making a difference in their life. And when you understand it, I know I've kind of beaten that horse almost to death, but it's that important. You were given gifts and talents in your life, not for your benefit. Well, certainly somewhat for your benefit, but also to share with other people. You can't keep them inside. You can't keep them to yourself, because your heart yearns to help others. Your heart yearns for something that's bigger than you, which is God. And for me, I've never forgotten that. And God has gotten me through this. I remember I said I was on this drug when I first started my cancer journey, after they told me I wasn't going to live. And the drug gave me severe flu-like symptoms for 2 to 3 days every week after I took the injection. And I took those weekly injections for almost 5 years. So imagine having the flu, and I'm not talking like I didn't feel good. I'm talking about a terrible case of the flu for 2 to 3 days every week for 5 years.
Wow.
Was a cure for me. That was, as my doctor used to say, we're trying to kick the can down the road and buy you more time. So you realize, at that point, and then after I had my leg amputated, I found out I had tumors in my lungs. My oncologist showed me my CAT scan. And Sheila, I don't know how to read a CAT scan. I have no background. But you could kind of look at it and be like, oh, that can look like it belongs there.
Yeah.
Tumors in my lungs. I had fluid all around the pleural spaces in my lungs, and I was coughing up this green bloody phlegm. And I remember looking at my oncologist and saying, how was I alive?
Yeah.
Don't forget this until I died. He put his head down. He shook his head no. And then he looked up at me and he said, I don't know, because you shouldn't have been. Which said to me that God's not done with me. Where I died, how I died, way above my pay grade. Don't spend much time worrying about the dying, and spend more time trying to find that purpose and living the purpose.
That's amazing. That's a beautiful story, Terry. That's a beautiful story. What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for cancer. I know that probably doesn't make a lot of sense with people, but I've learned a lot of things during this journey. 2 incredibly important things are, number one, I don't think you truly know yourself until you've been tested by some form of adversity in your life. And secondly, cancer's made me a better human being. It's made me focus on the things that, I guess I'm sort of answering the question with, that I am grateful for what God has done for me, what God has given me, allowing me to see my daughter graduate from high school, allow me to see my daughter graduate from college, allow me to be able to walk my daughter down the aisle when I should have been dead 10 years ago. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the family that I have, in addition to my faith, and I'm grateful for my friends. And I'm probably grateful for a whole lot of other things, but faith, family, and friends is really the thing that I am most grateful for, and the most, what I thank God for every day.
I like that answer. I wouldn't have expected it, but I like it.
Let me tell you one more story. If you don't
Sure.
mind. And this is a true story. This happened back in the 1950s at Johns Hopkins University here in the United States, kind of up in your neck of the woods. And it involves a professor who wanted to see how long rats could tread water. So hang with me here. I know it's going to be a rat story, but hang with me. So
Okay.
he took rats and he put them in a tank of water that was over their head. And the average rat treaded water for about 15 minutes. And just as those rats were getting ready to sink and drown, he reached in, grabbed them, pulled them out, dried them off, and let them rest for a while. And then he took the exact same rats and put them back in that exact same tank of water. And the second time around, on average, those rats treaded water for 60 hours.
Really?
Now think about that. The first time, 15 minutes. It's not like, your business is going to go under or you're going to flunk a test. You're going to die. Your life is going to be over. And the second time around, 60 hours, which taught me two things. Number one, the importance of hope in our lives. That if we know we're doing the right thing, maybe not today, maybe not this month, maybe not even this year, but if we continue down the road that we know is the right road, there's a good chance, nothing's 100%, that we will make it to where we want to be. And the second thing is just how much more our physical bodies can handle than we ever thought they could. We give up, we quit, we give in long before our bodies need to, because it goes back to the first truth: control your mind. Because your brain is telling you, this hurts, this is uncomfortable, I don't like this, stop it. Just like a marathon runner hits that wall, you can push through that wall, you gaining more on the other side of that adversity, of that ugliness, of that pain. So understand your body can handle so much more than you ever thought it could. Don't quit, don't give up, keep trying to move forward.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, and I agree. I'm a workout enthusiast, and one of the terms when I first started working out, my trainer would use is push to failure, and I'm like, what's that? What does that mean? But it means literally you push your body until you can't do it anymore. And the thing is, if the mind, if you train your mind right, your body will follow, and it does. I was like, oh, I can't do that, but now it's like I can do it, and my body responds to it. So definitely. Thank you so much, Terry. I appreciate you coming by. This was such a good conversation. You are so motivated. You're so uplifting. And how can my listeners get a copy of your book, Sustainable Excellence?
So Sustainable Excellence is available anywhere you can get a book online. Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, Apple iBooks. You can go to my website, which is motivationalcheck.com, and also order the book through there.
Okay, definitely. Well, again, I thank you so much for being a guest on my podcast. And I am praying for you that all works out for you and that God will heal you because we serve a God who does heal. And you are, again, like I said, you're a remarkable person. And keep serving others like you're doing because you are helping people. And I thank you for that.
Well, Sheila, thank you very much for having me on. I really enjoyed this conversation. And, I always, if our conversation makes a difference in one person's life, today's been a good day.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Until next time, remember to embrace the journey, build lasting connections, and step boldly into all that life has in store for you. I'm your host, Sheila Dunbar. Blessings to you.